Hi, my name is Hailey Rios, and I'm in English 1302. My project is over William Shakespeare. Okay, so some interesting facts are that he was a playwright, poet, and actor. He was born around April 23rd, 1564, but is not sure when exact birthday was. Back then, newborns would normally be baptized around 3 days after they were born, so that's why they predict he was born that day. He died April 23rd, 1616, and was buried at the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford. He was 52 years old. He was both born and he died in Stratford-upon-Avon, United Kingdom. There are no records of his education, but he most likely attended King's New School, which focuses heavily on English and grammar. In the late 1582, he married Anne Hathaway when she was 26 and he was 18. Did you know? By the early 1590s, he was a managing partner in Lord Chamberlain's Men, which is a popular theater company. He then started a theater company called the Globe with his business partners. Some theories say William Shakespeare never actually existed because there is very little evidence on him. There are 7 years of his life, called the lost years, where no records exist at all and people have no idea what he was doing during these years. From September of 1592 to June of 1594, the plague shut down the London playhouses. During this time, he wrote 2 epic poems. Everyone knows who William Shakespeare is, as his writing is very popular. His work includes 38 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and several more along with collaborative work. They have all been translated into over 50 languages. His plays were further divided into 3 categories. The popular ones were comedies, tragedies, and histories. This list includes all of his plays in the different categories. Some of these may sound very familiar to students, such as Midsummer's Night's Dream, Winter's Tale, As You Like It, Comedy of Errors, Hamlet, Julius Caesar, Romeo and Juliet, King John, and Richard II. Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is one of William Shakespeare's most famous and loved pieces of writing. It is a tragic love story where the 2 main characters, Romeo and Juliet, are supposed to be sworn enemies but end up falling in love with each other. Due to their families' ongoing conflict with each other, they had to hide their love in marriage. After getting married, Romeo is soon banished because he killed Tybalt, which leaves the couple heartbroken because they are separated again. Juliet's dad wants her to marry Prince, but because she was so in love with Romeo, she faked her death to wait for him in the tomb. However, he didn't get the message on time, so he actually drank the poison, which killed him, and then Juliet woke up to discover him dead. She then killed herself with his dagger, and the story ends on how the 2 families swore to never be enemies again. Personally, I believe this play is so significant because Taylor Swift wrote a song about it called Love Story. But actually, this play is so significant and popular because of the star-crossed lovers plot and the obstacles 2 people went through for love. It is also known as the most famous love story in the English literary tradition. Since love is naturally the play's dominant and most important theme, it focuses on romantic love, specifically the intense passion that springs up the love at first sight between Romeo and Juliet. I believe love and hate is the main central theme in Romeo and Juliet because they fall in love with each other, but struggle through the obstacles and the hate that surrounded them from their families and society. There are many literary devices used such as imagery, metaphors, and rhyme schemes. These are a few of the examples of the many devices used in this play. This is the plot description of Romeo and Juliet, which basically summarizes the whole play itself. This is the quarto, which is one of the earliest texts of William Shakespeare's works. The Globe. The Globe had 3 stories of seating that could fit 3,000 spectators. Outbreaks of the bubonic plague were so serious in London that the Globe was forced to close in 1603 and 1608. It then burned down in 1613 during a play malfunction involving a cannon, which was also the same. The pit was seating for people who only paid a penny to stand and watch. They were also called the groundlings. Color-coded flags were also used outside the theater to advertise the type of play to be performed. A red flag was for a history play, a white flag was for a comedy play, and a black flag was for a tragedy play. Female roles were also played by young boys, as theater stages were considered too improper for a place for ladies. The most expensive seats were directly behind the stage, where people could only see the actors from behind. This picture is a model that shows the stage and all the different seating and balcony areas. Harsh criticism over the centuries. During his own lifetime and shortly afterwards, Shakespeare enjoyed fame and also gained critical attention. In 1598, an English writer named Francis Mere declared him to be one of the greatest writers in comedy and tragedies. However, Ben Jonson faulted Shakespeare for having mediocre command of the classical languages and for ignoring classical rules. He believed Shakespeare treated people of power, such as kings and queens, as clowns. John Dryden wrote in his popular essay in 1668 that criticized the improbability of Shakespeare's late romances. Samuel Johnson also believed Shakespeare's plays were full of implausible plots that were quickly huddled together at the end, and he was not a fan of Shakespeare's puns. William Shakespeare's death. The exact cause of death is unknown, but there are many theories on how he may have died. Some include he died of syphilis, he was murdered, or he went out drinking with his playwriting friends and then he died of a fever shortly afterwards. Either way, the average life expectancy was just 35 years. He died at the age of 52 and was a grandfather after living a relatively long and healthy life. It is thought that Shakespeare himself wrote this for his tombstone so no one would try to dig up his grave in the future. It is known as the curse on Shakespeare's grave. It reads, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." This is my works cited page. I had trouble getting the right formatting for MLA, so I included a Google Doc, which has it correct.